Yeah. What's up? It's Abwon. I know I haven't done a review in ages. The last one I did was Thor. I was gonna do one for Justice League because it was only right to do a DC one after a Marvel one. I said, nah, I don't even feel like watching that movie, man. After a while, I didn't even want to bother. Then I was gonna do one for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Then it started snowing. I live on the East Coast. I live in Jersey. It started snowing. The holidays came up. I said, man, I ain't doing this, man. I ain't doing this. But then this Bright movie came about, starring your man Will Smith. I said, perfect. I can review a movie. I could watch a movie, not even have to leave my damn house, and I could review it at the same time. Because this movie, I feel like this movie's getting a lot more buzz than The Last Jedi was. Not saying that it's a bigger movie than Star Wars, but it is getting a big buzz. So, first off, I'm going to just tell y'all straight up, if this is my first review you've heard of me, if this is one of my first reviews you've heard, I feel like Will Smith kind of got the whack juice. Like, the last great movie Will Smith has really put out was 7 Pounds. Concussion was alright, you know what I'm saying? Focus, I didn't even bother watching that. Suicide Squad, I thought was trizash. After Earth, we ain't even gonna discuss that movie. Like, so Will Smith, I feel like he got the whack juice, but I also feel like he just doesn't care anymore. He's just like, man, look, whatever. I made my money. Like, what do I need to prove to y'all? So when I saw this Bright movie, I actually heard about this Bright movie years ago, like 2-3 years ago. I heard about this movie. And I like what Netflix is doing with, like, promoting movies, like feature-length films as Netflix originals or Netflix only. That's pretty dope. I saw it when I was watching a basketball game, like, oh, this movie's actually coming out. So now, obviously, people are going to be conflicted because you got people that hate Will Smith, and those are the people that are coming out saying, oh, this movie is the worst movie in 2017. How can you say stuff like that when we got movies like Transformers and The Mummy out? You know what I'm saying? And you're going to tell me this is the worst movie of 2017? And then you got people out there that are bored as hell. They'll watch anything. And those are the same people telling you, oh, I love this movie. Oh, my God, it was great. One of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. You can't take advice from people like that. Those positive reviews or the negative reviews. You can't take reviews from people like that because they're not going to tell you straight. You might ask them what you don't like about the movie, and they could tell you some nonsense like, well, I didn't like the fact that Will Smith had brown skin, but his partner was an orc. You know what I'm saying? And then the people that like the movie may tell you something like, oh, I like the fact that Will Smith was telling jokes. Like, he don't tell jokes in all his movies. So anyway, you know I'm going to give it to you straight because I'm an individual. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to look forward to in Bright right now. 1, the visuals. The visuals for a Netflix movie, these visuals were really, really good. The makeup, the costume design was good. It was dope. Now, you know, a lot of fantasy movies could come out really corny looking and really cheesy looking. But I was thinking to myself the other day, I said, if there's any actor that can make a movie like this really good, it's Will Smith. Like, who else can you go for a movie like this? Will Smith is, like, perfect when it comes to, like, fantasy movies. Men in Black and all that other stuff. I Am Legend, which is, like, one of his best movies in my book. So, the visuals and the special effects, you're definitely going to like. 2, the movie is really straightforward. I mean, you don't really have to do too much to follow what's going on, but it really is straightforward. And the action is really good. You know what I'm saying? For it to be a borderline sci-fi channel movie, let's just say it could be like a Spike TV movie, because Spike always plays movies like this. The action was pretty good. It was nothing groundbreaking, but it was pretty good. Now, don't expect Bad Boys 3, because we all waiting for that, and I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. But this movie is really good. I think Will Smith and his partner, Joel, I don't even want to mess up his last name, the dude from Warrior. But anyway, yeah, those two have like excellent chemistry. But the last thing The last thing that you need to look for in this movie, look forward to in this movie, is one of the reasons why I think people are giving it a negative response, giving it negative reviews, because this movie touches a lot on modern society when it comes to race relations and police law enforcement. And I feel like a lot of people out there saw this movie and they saw how crazy the human race was treating, orcs and all this other stuff. And then it started to hit them a little bit close to home. And then all of a sudden they flipped the switch like, nope. I'm not feeding into it. Blue Lives Matter. I'm not feeding into it. So it just is what it is. But I like the way they touched on all types of things. Art imitates life. And this is definitely a movie that definitely does that. So, but there are some negatives. One, if you are not into fantasy movies, and I don't mean fantasy movies like Peter Pan or The Never Ending Story, I'm talking about fantasy movies like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, stuff like that. If you're not into all of that, you ain't gonna be into this. You just ain't gonna be into this. I don't care if there's gang bangers in the movie, there's Crips and Bloods in the movie. I don't care how many gunfights there are. If you are not with the fact that orcs, fairies, and elves can live in the same world that a human does, you are not going to like the movie. You're not going to like the movie. Two, the ending. I feel like the ending dragged. This movie is 2 hours. It's 2 hours. Now, granted, I'm used to that. But if we're being real right now, this movie really could have been an hour and 20 minutes. Like, not even an hour and 30. This movie really could have been an hour and 20 minutes. The ending was, like, super duper long. Like, it just dragged on for no reason. I was looking at my clock like, okay, when's this movie gonna end? Because I'm trying to, like, play the PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Also, it's a little bit too predictable. Like, the first 10 minutes of the movie tells you what's going to happen at the end pretty much. Like, you already know. Like the first 20 minutes. Like, you already know what's going to happen at the end if you really pay attention to the beginning. But with all that being said, the movie is still entertaining. So I'm going to give Will Smith his props. I walked into that movie with an open mind, and it was entertaining. I may watch it again. I may not, but it's on Netflix, so I'm not really missing nothing. It's not like I need a hard copy of it. You know what I'm saying? So check it out. I'm going to give the movie a 7. A solid 7. No more, no less. Oh, the soundtrack. The music is good. The score is really good. I'm not going to buy the soundtrack, though. Like, hell nah. I'm not beat. You ain't making money off of me from that. Chill. But, yes. I'm going to give this movie a solid 7. No more, no less. Watch it. You need to be entertained. You want to watch an action movie, all that good stuff, but you don't want to see people like using like telekinesis to like throw lightsabers at people and all this other stuff. Watch this movie. Check it out. Don't believe the haters. It's not the worst movie of 2017. I've seen a lot worse. I have seen a lot better, but compared to the last few Will Smith movies, this is really good. So check it out. Let me know what you thought. Subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Like, share, all that good stuff. Hit me up at Abwon on Twitter. And I got the Afterthoughts coming to you right now with a special guest. You can hear from her how she thought, what she thought about it, and we can go from there. Peace. Okay. What's going on? It's Abwon. This is the Afterthoughts segment, and I have a special guest. Like I said, this is, you going with Missy No Elliott?
No.
Who we going with?
India.
So this is India, and she watched Bright before I did. So I told her once we watched it, I was gonna ask her what she thought about it. So just to start it off, you already know, spoiler free. 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 7.
A 7. What did you like most about the movie?
Probably the action scenes. When the Bright was not the Bright, but like that whole scene with like the Spanish guys and
and the elves and stuff.
Yeah,
that scene was pretty dope. Yeah, I felt like all the action scenes in that movie were all pretty good. Like, considering it's like a Netflix movie, I don't really know how much of a budget they had. Supposedly, that's supposed to be like Netflix's biggest first blockbuster, but who knows. I thought the action scenes were good, and I thought the visuals were pretty dope too. So what's the worst thing about the movie?
The orgs are ugly as fuck.
They are ugly. They are ugly as hell. Just like in I I said this in the review, and I remember I had actually doing a movie too. If you watch Lord of the Rings, you know like orcs are like not attractive like elves. They're like ugly. They're ugly. That's an ugly race. But
I've never seen Lord of the Rings.
You should definitely watch it. But that movie's not for everybody, just like this movie's not for everybody. But so what would you think the reason is why this movie's getting so much negative backlash, negative press, negative reviews?
One, because I think like people just have like, some people have something against Will Smith, number one.
True.
Number two, it was a movie that was on Netflix, and I think you had said it was supposed to come out in theaters before. And I mean, if you watch the movie, you can tell the synergies between what's going on now in the country between black, white, and the cops. This is a definite synergy between that if you really look at it. The orgs are black people.
Or we could just say they're just minorities, period.
Minorities,
I guess you
period,
could say that.
True. The cops are the cops, and then the humans are white people.
Word. You know what's crazy? There was this scene. This ain't spoiling nothing either. The scene in the beginning when she assigns him with the orc, and Will Smith is back in the locker room with his other cops, and he's like, the guy goes, "This is just an orc law. The only reason he hired him is because he's an orc." We already know. Affirmative action. We've heard that plenty of times.
Exactly.
And then he says something like, "Oh, I didn't choose him. I just stuck with him." And then another scene was, this isn't spoiling the movie either. It's in the beginning. Will Smith is riding with his partner, who's an orc, and he's like the first orc on the force. So anyway, they see a bunch of law enforcement policemen, and they're like beating up an orc in the street for like no reason.
So then Will Smith is like, "I need to know if you're a cop first or an orc first."
Yeah, exactly. And I have plenty of friends that are in law enforcement that are black, and they are like super conflicted with like what's going on right now. So, which is probably, you guys probably do too, whatever it is what it is. But I personally feel like, one, a lot of people don't like Will Smith, like you said. And two, I feel like the fact that this movie does touch on like a lot of social topics is the reason why a lot of people are like, "Oh no, I hate it." Like, I immediately hate it.
I mean, all the people that I've seen, especially on my timeline, like the movie. I've only seen, out of maybe like 8 comments of people that like the movie, there was just like one person who didn't like it. And I think the reason why they didn't like it is because they just didn't understand the undertones of the movie.
True. But all right, so even if you watch the movie and don't realize that, because there are a lot of people out here that just like don't understand what's going on in America, and they just like don't care.
I mean, they have to be living under a rock.
True. So, but for like,
or a Trump supporter.
Oh, that too. You know what I'm saying? They believe racism doesn't exist. If you just take this movie for just what it is, like an action fantasy movie, I guess you could throw it. I think it's still a pretty good movie, regardless of all the undertones. If you don't pay attention to all of that, I still think it's a pretty entertaining movie. Now, I've seen people on my timeline saying some like outlandish stuff, like this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, and I'm like,
I wouldn't call it the best movie of my life.
Word. I wouldn't go that far. I definitely wouldn't go that far. It's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's great. It's entertaining. It does its job.
But I think the real reason there's backlash, and it's not more so from people, I guess from the motion picture society, is that Netflix is like becoming a real big contender in the movie / TV space, and it cuts into their revenue. So that's really all that is.
No, you're definitely right, because I remember I said this earlier in the review, like when I found out that this movie was on here, I said, you know what, I could just watch it in the house and not have to worry about getting dressed to go see a movie. Like, that's one reason why I didn't watch Last Jedi or Justice League, because I was just like, I don't feel like going anywhere.
That's another reason why AMC came out with Movie Pass, because people aren't going to the movies anymore. You know, they got their Fire Stick, so they can watch whatever comes out at home. It's just not economically sound anymore to pay $15 to watch one movie. Where with Netflix, you pay $10 a month and you get to see
all types of stuff.
List of stuff. So
Word.
The industry in that regard is definitely changing. So that's why I feel like there's a backlash.
Word.
And the fact that they could pay Will Smith, like, because you know he's like a top
expensive.
earner.
Yeah. I know. When I saw that, I was just like, man, this guy. We've been waiting for Bad Boys 3 for God knows how long, but I feel like Martin Lawrence is the reason why that movie's not going to happen, because I think that man is like super duper out of shape, and that's probably why they like, nah. But either way, so in terms of, this would be my last question, in terms of Will Smith movies, where would you put this one at?
Ooh.
He's made a lot of movies though.
He has, and he's made some garbage too.
I was just talking to somebody on Twitter. He said he's never seen a trash Will Smith movie.
No, what was that one that I watched on the plane? Where he was like the CTE doctor, whatever.
Concussion. Yeah, that movie was. Yeah, I didn't really like it, but I didn't really hate it. Yeah, you ever seen After Earth?
Yes.
That movie was garbage, yo.
Son.
Yeah.
I saw that in the movie theater actually, but good for me. I always do 2 for 1, so it wasn't too bad.
You paid for the 2 for 1, or you did like the bathroom sneaking?
Nah, I paid for 1 and saw 2. That's 2 for 1.
I feel you. That's how you got to do with these prices these days. Just like you said. Okay, so all right, so yeah, back to the original question though, like.
I out of his okay, so I give the overall movie a 7. And out of his movies, I'll give it about a 6.
Okay. Are we going by like his early days when he was like at the apex of his career, like Men in Black and all of that? Or are we talking about like Will Smith now?
Like Men in Black, 7 Pounds.
I think that's Will Smith's best movie.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
That too. That's one of his top 5. Yeah, no, I would say the same thing, because I feel like after 7 Pounds, he's been putting out like a bunch of garbage.
But it's, I mean, not say that he's putting out garbage. It's the writers.
True.
The writers are writing garbage.
You're right.
And,
okay.
I mean, it's being an actor is his job, so he's still got to get paid. So you might not always like the script that you're given, but if you're getting paid a good amount, you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
so,
true.
I guess that's where Concussion came in.
Where Papa John's makes trash pizza, but if you work for Papa John's, you can't blame them for making trash pizza.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's Miss India. You want to shout out your Snapchat, whatever? Anything else?
If you want to follow me on Snapchat, you can follow me. It's FluffyDiva718.
That's it. That's all across the board.
It.
All right, this Abwon. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Go check out that movie. Talk to me. Let me know what you thought. We out.